All right, people, this is going to be my next movie review for the Scream movie. I have Doug with me today because he's a fan of the Scream franchise, and he would supplement my ability to review this movie.
Yep. I do like the Scream movies.
Yep. All right, and the Scream franchise is... marketing. The Scream movies are by Wes Craven. Wes Craven. And what were they made? 1990. They were the 90s, right?
1996 for the first
one.
one.
96 for the first one. And it was basically Wes Craven was addressing. Why can I not say his name right? He was addressing the slasher boom, essentially, because a bunch of other movies, including his original Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven did that one too. I got his name. He produced that one, and he was basically making a movie that was the anti-slasher film. Even though it still fell into that franchise with the stabbing and the killing and the one-by-one, it kind of addressed the fact that it was no longer a regular slasher film. It was kind of making fun of other slasher films in an attempt to stop them.
Yeah.
It almost came off as a parody because it was meant to be funny and...
which there are some funny...
Yeah, it's meant to be funnier than
when he
normal.
Runs into a wall or a pot gets thrown at his head and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of slapsticky and comedy-like, and, okay.
His or her, depending on what movie we're talking about. Like, which Scream movie. I said him or her for...
Oh, yeah. It changed. Isn't it Scream 4 that's the only one with a female, or are they...
Actually, the second one has a female as well.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Which one does it turn into a film within a film?
Film within a film. Oh,
is that only 4, or is that the entire thing?
No, the newest one. Yeah, it has the intro. It's a movie within the actual movie.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's because
whoa.
Wes Craven did 4 too, right? He did 1 and 4, or did he? Do
I think he did all of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do believe. Maybe not. I think so.
That's pretty rare, if to produce all of a franchise, because like. Sean Cunningham did the first Friday the 13th, and then he produced a couple others, but he never actually made another one. But I know Wes Craven did New Nightmare, and that's what kind of inspired the idea for Scream 4. And the general idea was that in New Nightmare on Elm Street, he made it so that it was in the real world, supposedly, but it was talking about the fact that they're making a movie, and it's a film within a film.
Yeah. And
they reference the fact that they're in the universe of Freddy, and that they're talking about Freddy. It just gets really confusing, but that's what inspired the...
Like, in the fourth one, they're actually recording the kills to make a giant movie out of it, so it's literally... Because once you put something on the internet, it's pretty much there forever.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted to do, so the legacy lived on no matter what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't exactly go.
We're essentially reviewing the entire franchise at this point.
Yeah.
I'll probably just post this one under Scream franchise.
Yeah.
What about the second and third ones? What's the theme behind those? Seeing as we've
The second one is all about sequel rules in horror movies, or in slasher films. Sequel rules.
Yeah.
Third one, trilogy rules. Like, they actually have rules.
Yeah, that's what I meant by he's addressing the fact that they're a universe within the film franchise.
Like, okay, the first one, you know, like, the one little thing's like you have to be a virgin pretty much to survive, no drugs, no alcohol.
Don't go downstairs.
And, well, yeah, like, you can't leave and be like, oh, I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah, you're not I remember I saw that's in the trailer. He's like, I'm gonna be right back! Ooh.
Yeah.
And then he gets offed.
But, so, and then, like, the second one, there was the sequel rules. I don't remember those exactly. Then I remember, I just watched the third one recently. Trilogy rules were, like, everything's off. You have no idea who it's going to be, and it goes, like, back to, like, the original thing, like, where you thought something had happened, but it turns out it was actually someone else, or something completely different than you thought, and that's pretty much the trilogy.
They're kind of really basing it off a lot of the Friday the 13th franchise, because that's the stereotypical, especially the sequels. I mean, the first one... They don't really follow the rules of the other slasher films because in the first one, I forgot to address this in my original review, but they kill what is it? They're all pretty much equal. There's no democracy among the kills because the people who are guilty as anyone else live in the end of the first one. But after that, especially in like the third one, they have people getting off that deserve it entirely.
Yeah.
And in the third one, pretty much everyone deserves it, and so you never really know who's going to die. You can't predict it as well.
Like,
and then they have ones that are like making light of themselves without being Scream, like Freddy vs. Jason. It didn't take itself seriously. It knew it was just a gore fest that you wanted to see sex and kills. And so Freddy vs. Jason addressed it as itself as what it is, which is what Scream is basically doing the whole time.
What actually I thought was interesting, because, you know, modern-day horror movies always have some form of nudity in it, pretty much. Always. Scream 4, none.
None. The only Friday the 13th movie to not have any nudity was Jason Lives.
Well, because I had seen one of the reviews from another guy. I think I'd be able to say who was or whatever. A horror movie review guy. Yeah, he's got some pretty cool vids. I don't know.
I don't think he'd check advertising. He doesn't have any copyrights or anything. That's impossible. As
So
long as we're not stealing his videos and copy and pasting them.
Yeah, so you can check him out too if you want. But like I watched one of his, and it was just like one of the things, and boom, boobs, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that because I figured there'd probably be a warning in the beginning or something. And it's just like, oh look, boobs, and it's like, oh well, okay.
I'll roll with it.
No, I'm like, well, okay, continue on.
Carry on, good sir. No, but what was I gonna say? Oh, there was one. It was a quote from the people who they re-released Friday the 13th Part 2 in a couple of theaters, and there was a person, I think it was the writer or a critic or something, and while he was watching it, there was a scene where a woman was undressing, and there was a bunch of guys in the audience shooting, "We want boobs!" And then he kind of sunk in his chair, and he's like, they don't understand this movie at all. Because they were used to the modern Friday the 13th, where it's just like, stabs, checks! And then, when they saw an old one that wasn't meant to be that, where you're not supposed to root for Jason until the 5th one, where you're supposed to be against him, you're like, oh my god, he's killing people! But from that, people who watch those now are still rooting for Jason, because that's what they know. We haven't talked about Scream.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should probably get back to the Scream topic before people are like, this is just everything. Which is pretty much it is at this point.
I don't even know what I'm going to label this anymore.
Well, to be honest, since Scream 1 through 4 is, as you said, that's kind of going off of all other movies, showing the rules, the basis of those, it relates to all other, well, not all other horror movies, but the slasher ones.
Yeah.
I mean, so
especially Halloween and Friday the 13th. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street is a deviant all on its own,
yeah,
too.
It's like, but, in its own category, but,
What were you, who was in the original Scream? You said you knew some of those.
Like Neve Campbell.
Oh, I remember that because
she's Sydney, the main girl, and then you have Courtney Cox and David Arquette. They started off in there, and everyone as well.
That's one of the reasons that Scream was so famous was because it had a bunch of actors who had already been in movies.
Yeah,
including slasher films too.
They're pretty popular. I mean, to this. It was really well done, like how they did it all. You know how Courtney Cox and David Arquette got married?
Yeah.
Well, in the 4th Scream movie, they're married. So
they really played off of a lot of different.
So it's pretty good.
That worked. All right. Anything else we need to say, or are we just wrapping this up?
I think we got it pretty good. It's just kind of random, funny bits in there. I don't really think some people told me they're, extremely hilarious, and I'm kind of like, that's not really the whole point of it. Yeah. I don't know if that's just me, because I like them.
That's one of the reasons it's so critically acclaimed, too, is because it's a variety hour.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie that you can go,
I know, I'm watching it, and I'm kind of like, oh, what the heck, ha ha ha, but then there's the serious parts, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's the way the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of went towards the end, except the comedy outweighed the horror by the end of the franchise, and it was just ridiculous. Okay, that's going to wrap it up. Tune in for the next Doug and Joe show, which we're going to be filming today, too. So, tune in to that. Okay, see you later, peoples. Watch out!